As I said, this is an ongoing investigation. There was an incident yesterday at BC Women's Hospital. Around 10:30 in the morning, we began receiving 911 calls from people in the hospital, people asking for police assistance immediately, specifically to an area of the hospital where there are parents, babies, and staff members. A social worker was among the people who called us and asked for immediate help. It was reported to VPD that there was a woman in the hospital who was in possession of a knife. She was volatile, she was out of control. It was reported to us that she was volatile and out of control. She was causing an immediate risk to herself, causing an immediate risk to other people in the hospital. It was reported to us that she had chased a doctor, and doctor had run to safety, had lunged at another staff member. It was reported to us that staff in the hospital were sheltering in rooms, taking shelter in rooms, and that staff members had locked themselves in a nursery with a number of babies. Now, this is an area of women's hospital. It's a ward. There are approximately 17 adult infants housed on that ward, and it staffs approximately 20 to 25 people. That's the information that we've been provided. Obviously a very volatile and tense situation that required immediate police response. The 911 call taker heard screaming in the background as the call taker was on the line with one of the complainants. There was more than one call to 911. While they were responding to this, it became very apparent that this was an immediate threat, that the person in the hospital who was said to have a knife was causing an immediate threat to herself, staff, babies, members of the public, and parents. As patrol units, VPD officers responded, negotiators were dispatched, as well as members of our emergency response team. Ultimately, due to the nature of the person's behavior, the imminent threat, we were forced to essentially deploy rapidly and immediately into the hospital to resolve the threat that was facing staff, parents, members of the public, and very vulnerable children. Our officers went up to the floor where this ward is. They encountered the woman. She was still a threat to herself. She was still a threat to others. She was violent. She was non-compliant. And she was taken into custody. While she was taken into custody, a beanbag shotgun was used. It was deployed. As a result of the actions that our responding officers took, we were able to arrest the suspect. No serious injury to her, no injury to anybody in the hospital, no injury to any staff, any parents, any babies, any members of the public. So it's a successful outcome in that regard. The suspect was arrested. She's a woman in her 30s. She was arrested for possession of a weapon, assault, and breach of probation. And we're continuing with our investigative process, which will likely be a long one. Number of witnesses, number of victims, other sources of evidence that we'll have to mine through and examine. However, we anticipate at the conclusion of the investigation we'll be forwarding information to Crown Counsel, BC Prosecution Service, for consideration.